Detroit Den 313. We are back. Stephen Will talking that Detroit Lions football. Before we get started, you know what to do. Bang that subscribe button. Do not forget the bell icon so you do not miss our new content. Steve, I'm excited for this one. Tell them who we're talking today.
One of my favorite hidden gems. A lot of people have asked us when we do live shows, hey man, you guys got any hidden gems for us? This is he's a household name. I'm not saying like you're gonna hear about him in the 6th, 7th round, but I don't think he's a first round talent. I think anything after the first round, you're talking gems. Jaylen Polk, wide receiver, Washington, go Pups.
Hey,
but
man.
We had to lay that smackdown on them Pups back in January, the Michigan Wolverines. But we're past that. We're looking forward to adding some people to the Detroit Lions. Jaylen Polk, when you guys have asked in our live shows, you've asked us, who do you find, who do you think we can get with very good value? Who's your gems? I didn't want to say his name, but I've had it on the back of my head for a while. I don't want to tip the hand too much. This is who I think about when I think of who's my gem. It's Jaylen Polk. I like him in the 2nd round, but we're going to get into it. How do you feel about Jaylen Polk out of Washington?
I absolutely love him. It's my emotions for Jaylen Polk are very Fisk-like. I'll put it like that. And if you watch this show, you know how we feel about Fisk. Between Fisk and Verse, we've already talked about. We're turning into Florida State fans. We're tomahawk chucking. It's just crazy, man. It's crazy. So I have those type of emotions about this guy. I feel like Jaylen Polk is everything that you want in a Detroit Lion. He's big. He's strong. He's smart. He plays the game relentlessly. Looking at the measurables, he said he's 6'2". At the combine, he was just a little bit over 6'1". He's 205 pounds. Ran a 4.52. 10 yard was 1.52. Vertical of almost 38, 37 and a half. Broad jump of 10.9. The dude is he's got just below elite measurables, right? So when you're looking at the Marvin Harrisons, when you're looking at the neighbors, Malik Neighbors, when you're looking at the elite guys that are already in the league that have ran, the Jamar Chases, the Justin Jeffersons, the numbers that have been put up over time, he's not hitting those numbers, but he's not far. He's just behind. And I feel like he's getting docked for being just behind those numbers when we're talking about hundreds of seconds when it really boils down to it. I just don't get it, because what are we ultimately doing, Steve? Are we running track or are we playing football?
We're playing football. We're putting pads on.
When you turn on the film, this dude plays football, period. You turn on the film, he's playing football. So, Steve, if we drafted him in the 2nd round at pick 61, and I don't think he's going to be there. I'm going to be honest. I don't think he's going to be there at 61. I think he's a guy that's going to be, you're going to need to slide up to go grab him. But
it's going to be tough. But I think he's a 2nd rounder, but I think you're right. 61's a far slide because in my personal opinion, he's a top 10 receiver in this class, but I know there's probably going to be 4 or 5 going within the first 20 picks. So it's tough. 4 or 5 receivers and he's in the top 10. You're kind of looking at, he's in somewhere in that 20 to 40 range. That's out of range for us. Are we taking him at 29? I don't know about that. I like him in the 2nd round, but you're right. And what I really, really like is if he comes to the Detroit Lions, here's the pitch. I don't need you to do anything you didn't do at Washington. You weren't the number 1 guy at Washington. That was your boy Rome Odunze. You come to the Detroit Lions, I just need you to keep doing what you were doing. Being productive, being an option, being a target. Come here, be our 2nd wide receiver because we know that's Amon-Ra St. Brown. Battle with Jameson Williams in camp and see who comes out on top as that number 2 receiver. It's kind of getting to be time for sink or swim for JMO. This is kind of a make or break year for him. So I want to see some iron sharpening iron. 6'1", runs a 4.52, you said?
Yep.
It's not elite speed. It's not elite size, but it's good enough. I don't think we're going to get a receiver who's 6'4" and runs a 4.3 40. It's just not going to happen. But I look at Jaylen Polk. If you put him on a lot of other college football teams, he'd be the number 1 receiver. Without a doubt. He's that good. Rome Odunze is just a dog who's just, he's a top 2 receiver in this draft. It's just the unfortunate part for Jaylen Polk because I think he might be a 1st round talent. If you look at his stats, what do we got here? 69 catches, almost knocking on the door at 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good for a number 2 receiver in Washington.
Listen, man, I think that Jaylen Polk is exactly what we need in Detroit. And I think that you hit a lot of the things that I liked about it. but we talked about it in a previous podcast. I can't remember if it was our live, but I know it was one of the podcasts that we did recently. We talked about, oh, I remember what it is now. It was a Stephon Diggs podcast when we were talking about the reasons why we don't want Stephon Diggs and still don't want him. But anyways, so um the bottom line is we want guys in Detroit that are here to contribute and do what they can to help the team be successful. That's something that he's already shown. Right? What do I always talk about? I want to see the body of work, man. Don't come to me and talk to me about potential. Forget potential. Show me the body of work and what's been happening, and I am going to believe that that's going to continue to happen. What does he do in Washington? He catches the football with his freaking hands like a receiver's supposed to. When we talk about catching the ball away from your body, when we talk about just a range, right? Just being a big body, right? He can stretch out and catch the ball. He can catch 50-50 balls. I don't believe the dude had a drop in 2023.
He's
Like that,
very sure-handed.
yeah, he's a guy who'll catch it in traffic. He gets separation with his fluidity. He's not a guy that's going to be sudden. So if you're looking for a guy that's going to be crazy sudden, that's not his game. But he's smart. And I think that when we're talking about who he would be replacing, it would be Josh Reynolds. And the first thing I'm asking myself is he an upgrade or a downgrade? I think that he's an upgrade on Josh
Absolutely,
Reynolds.
without a doubt.
You know what I mean? So, and that's really what I'm trying to do. I'm looking for somebody to play X. I'm looking for somebody to keep JMO doing what he does best, not dealing with people putting their hands on him. Now I can put him off the line of scrimmage. Now I can put him in motion. Now I can do my ins arounds, my reverses, my quick game with him. And what makes it better is this. Steve, you talk about bubble screens all the time. This is a guy who blocks relentlessly through the whistle. Right?
What's the saying? What's the saying?
What?
No block, no rock.
Oh, facts though. In all seriousness, But I'll tell you this, and we talk about a saying that you put a stamp on that Detroit Den 313. If this dude gets on our team, thoughts and prayers.
Period. Our offense would be. Yeah. I want to use. I'm going to say the word complete. He would make our offense complete. We have two stud receivers with Jaylen Polk, Amon St. Brown. Jury's still out on Jameson Williams. I think this, like I said, make or break year for him. Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs. Haven't seen him much in the passing game. I think he could be due for a breakout year in the passing game as well. 1,000 yards from scrimmage. I like to see him touch the ball a little bit more. And then David Montgomery, the Bulldog bulldozer, just going to go out there and get you those tough yards, get those goal line touchdowns. Like our offense would be complete. You add Jaylen Polk, got our red zone guy. I mean, what more does the offense need? Anything else you're drafting after that is purely backups. We could talk about offensive line, and we've kind of hinted at it. Our offensive line, as it sits today, is set. Fully healthy. They all play 17 games. We're probably looking at 4 or 5 Pro Bowlers on that offensive line. Just telling you guys the truth. Like our offense, add Jaylen Polk to it. It's a complete offense where how do you sit in a team meeting as an opposing team Monday through Saturday night and you're on the defensive side of the ball? How do you put up all those faces and say, hey, this is who we got to cover tomorrow morning on Sunday? Monday night, Saturday night, Thanksgiving. Like we have a lot of mouths to feed. We need guys that fit these roles of being okay with not touching the ball 10 times a game. We don't need divas. We got a lot of mouths to feed. I don't think Jaylen Polk is a diva. I think he would come in here and fit perfectly. I think he's a teammate type of guy. The real thing is, and I don't want to tip my hand too much, I don't think the Lions had a confirmed interview with him at the NFL Combine. And, that's where information comes, where you're getting information on players themselves, how they're interacting, how they're selling themselves, what type of player they are. That's my only concern. But I do trust that Brad Holmes does his homework. He does his investigations. He asks questions to teammates, former teammates, coaches. He's going to get the information he needs. So I'm not worried about it. I just like the word complete when I think about Jaylen Polk on this offense.
Man, I think about Jaylen Polk and I think about all grit. Right? When you watch his film and you watch all 22 games, not all 22 highlights, you see this dude, like I said before, blocking relentlessly. You see him playing with a certain level of tenacity. He plays the game like a Detroit Lion to me, right? And the thing that when we start talking about these numbers, people get so enamored with these 40-yard dashes. So let me break down the numbers and let me break down what's more important to me, right? What's more important to me is the 10-yard dash. Right. So when we're talking about his counterpart, Romo Duce, right? He ran a 4.45 40-yard dash. Good job. Jaylen Polk ran a 4.52. Right. So we're talking about 7/100ths of a second, right? Difference is that we're playing football, we're not running track, right? But when we break it down to the 10-yard dash, you got Jaylen Polk is running. Hold on, let me make sure I got this correct.
I got it at 1.52.
1.52. I just want to make sure I had it correct because that's what I thought, but I couldn't remember if there was a difference.
This 10-yard split 1.52.
So Romo Duce, you know what he ran a 10-yard split in?
Probably. I know. I'm guessing it was slower with how you're teeing this one up.
It's 1.52. They have the same 10-yard split. And what do I need you to do? I need you to get a release off the line of scrimmage and get into your freaking route. You're not running 40 yards straight down the field, just blazing speed with nobody putting their hands on you. We're playing football game. I want to know how quick you are. I want to know what your reaction time is. I'm more worried about your 10-yard dash. I'm more worried about cone drills. I'm more worried about what your hips look like and what those hands look like. He has more than enough speed to be out here and be effective on the football field. He plays the game with tenacity. He catches 50-50 balls. He catches everything that you throw in his vicinity. He can catch the ball away from his body with his hands. He's going to get out there and block. Jaylen Polk is everything that you need to play great football at the NFL level. And he's flying underneath the radar. And I don't understand why. He's an absolute dog. If we drafted Jaylen Polk at pick 29, I would say, man, they must see it. They must see it. And they must have a plan for him. Am I saying that he's a pick at 29? I'm not saying that. But if
we don't know, we don't know if it is or
isn't. We don't know. But if it was one of those Jack Campbell moments, because I thought we were getting Jack Campbell in the second round. We talked about it.
Or Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, so it was like Jack Campbell's going to be there for a minute. Like, why are we taking him this early? You know what I mean? So if we said, hey, we need a guy to do a thing. We need a guy to come in and play this X. If that's what Brad was thinking, I'm not saying that's what he is thinking, but I would understand why, because this guy is good at football. He's not good at track, right? He's not out there doing, 100-meter dashes. He's playing football, and he does it at a really, really high level. If he became a Detroit Lion in the second round at pick 61, or we traded up to get him, I would be ecstatic, man. I would be overjoyed. I can't. I'd be like the one guy from our live. I forget who it was, but he said he'd be doing cartwheels. I'd be doing cartwheels right with.
That was me. I said that.
No, it was another guy that said he'd be doing cartwheels in the line though too.
Yeah, I think Jaylen Polk makes the offense complete. I think he's a perfect fit. Here's the question though, and I guess I'll answer it myself, and I'll let you see if you agree or disagree. I think the only way we get Jaylen Polk is if we trade out of the first round. If we take 29, a team moves up and takes it, and we pretty much say, hey, we're not drafting in the first round this year. We move back to 38. I don't know. That's just the number that popped in my head. I think he's a more realistic option there at 38, and I'm more okay with it. 29's high, but again, I'm not going to be mad. Brad Holmes hits home runs. We were surprised last year that he took two players that we thought were second-round talents. He took both of them in the first round. They both worked out. Jack Campbell's still growing. He's going to be okay. I have faith in that. But Jahmyr Gibbs was a home run. He was in the conversation for Rookie of the Year, 1,000 yards from scrimmage. Like that's a home run picket from 6 and then moving back to 12. Like we didn't see it coming, but it worked out. So if Brad Holmes takes him at 29, I'm not going to be mad. I think we'll have a lot of people saying that he reached and could have got him in the second round, but the second round pick where we're sitting is damn near a third round pick. So think of it that way. Like it's really knocking on the door of being round 3. So I think a more ideal situation, and I love the player. I won't be mad at 29, but if we trade out of that first round and we get an early second round pick, I think it's more reasonable. But again, I won't be mad. 29, Jaylen Polk makes our offense complete. What do you need the rest of the draft?
Steve, can I drop in one more number on you? Because it's just blowing my mind as I'm sitting here tinkering around, looking at guys, looking at dogs.
Oh boy.
Justin Jefferson, right? Now we're talking about that 40 time, right? It's
you looking at his NFL combine card?
Yeah, 4.43 is his 40 time.
So great time. 9/10 of a second.
Great time. But his 10-yard split is 4.54. So that's 200 slower than Jaylen.
4.54 or 1.54?
1.54. Did I say 4.5? 1.54. Yeah. I apologize. Yeah, 1.54 was his 10-yard split. Vertical jump, the exact same, 37.5. They got the same vertical jump. Broad jump, his is 10.6. Jaylen Polk's was 10.9. Yeah. So, when we're talking about, and I'm not here to say, oh my God, Jaylen Polk has these numbers. He's better than
You heard it. Hey, Will Ford Sr. just said that Jaylen Polk is the next Justin Jefferson in this draft.
Yeah, before that happens, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is he has these RAS scores and these numbers and all of this. They eliminate you when you're slightly behind in a 40 time. Like, so in this instance, the only thing that Justin Jefferson is doing better than him is the 40.
And it's a blink of an eye faster.
Yeah, so we're not running 40 yards. We're getting in and out of our breaks. We're running routes. We're competing for those 50-50 balls in traffic. Like, we're trying to get separation. We're being smart, and we're running the right routes at the right times, because people were saying that Amon-Ra St. Brown was slow. So what are we talking about? He's a top 5, top 10 receiver in his NFL, and he's quote unquote slow. Like, sometimes we got to get away from these numbers, and we got to trust what we see on the film. The film says Jaylen Polk is a dog, and I hope he's wearing Honolulu blue. And if he is, problems.
Yeah. And also, he wore number 2 at Washington. The jersey number 2 is officially available now that CJ Gardner-Johnson has left, so we could just slide him right in there. Let's not do the blue ski masks though, but everything else I like. So real quick, what I'm looking at, I think Will's probably looking at the same thing, is when we want information on a player, we're coming for information. So I go to NFL.com. You can go to the combine tab, look at some players, search them, see what they did at the combine. That's where we look at height and weight, because a lot of the height and weights on ESPN are way off. The combine card is locked in. That's what your height is for the rest of your life in the NFL. Yeah, if it says on ESPN you're 6'3", no, you're now 6'1", because that's what they said at the combine. So we go there for information like that. Like the 40 times are on there, the 10 yards, but that's all information. But what I don't like is this is the prospect grade they have for Jaylen Polk, 6.15. And then it has a note on here where it says, good backup with the potential to develop into a starter. I could not disagree with that more. I think he's a day one starter. Now, wide receivers, we know they kind of get shuffled in, different packages and whatnot. But I look at him and I see number 2 receiver. That's a starter to me. So I don't know what that's all about. I disagree 100% that he can develop into a starter. He's a redshirt junior. He's coming into the league. He's going to be playing a lot of football. If you don't want to call that a starter, that's fine, but that's what he's going to be doing.
Yeah, I think he's going to be on the field as well, man. I don't get into the numbers game, though. I don't get into 1s and the 2s and the 3s, because I think that we could very well see J-Mo still being our number 2 option from the receiver responsibility, but going into the season. But he's gonna be playing that X. He's gonna be that big body on the outside, bodying guys and being able to get his releases and not get out physical by the corners that are out there.
Yeah. So basically, end of the day, you can go look at his combine stuff. He did phenomenal. Looked good in all the workouts. Match that up. You go watch his tape. The tape matches the workout. That's kind of the same thing we say about Braden Fisk, who we're very high on. You turn on the tape, the actual game tape, you go see Braden Fisk wrecking games. You go turn on some Washington tape, you're going to see Jaylen Polk throwing some blocks, getting open, throwing guys around. Like, I see him as a perfect fit for the Detroit Lions. For me, wide receivers, I don't think I've ranked my wide receivers. I will say, realistically, where the Lions pick right now today at 29. Xavier Leggett, Jaylen Polk. Those are my top 2.
Wow.
Yeah, like get me one of those 2. Phenomenal draft.
Is that if Brian Thomas is there?
I don't think he'll be there. I kind of took that into effect. I don't think Brian Thomas will be there at 29.
I think he might, man. It's a lot of good receivers that are going to be on the board still, I think, man. I don't know, man. It's a lot of dogs, man.
I would say Brian Thomas is probably the 4th best receiver in this draft, behind Harrison Jr., Odunze, Neighbors. Then I probably throw Brian Thomas there.
You still got to talk about Adonai Mitchell. It's
like
guys. I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. It's receivers out there, man. So I could see Jaylen Polk slipping into the 2nd round, but I just don't think it'll be 61. I think we'd have to trade up to go get him. But I don't know what that looks like, man. I don't think that would be a crazy move for Brad to make. Maybe we're swapping, our 2nd round picks, and then we're lumping in our 5th or something, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that it's going to be crazy to get up there. And I'm sure Brad, if he really wants to and he believes in Jaylen Polk, like we believe in him, he'll go get him. Like what we say, go get your man.
Go get your man. Just real quick, while you said that, what popped? Oh my gosh, I was one up. What popped in my head as soon as you started saying that is, I think of a team who needs receivers. Los Angeles Chargers just cut both of their receivers and traded one, cut one. They're not going to take a receiver at 5. Could they slide back into pick 29 and want an offensive weapon for Justin Herbert and new coach Jim Harbaugh? And I said the number 38 would be a spot I'd like to trade back to. The Chargers sit at 37. That might be something to look out for, folks. If I'm right on that, I'm just probably going to retire from podcasting and just say that I'm just too smart for this game. But
how about I just buy you a beer and we keep
I'm just looking at it like it just popped in my head. Like the Chargers need offensive weapons. They're not going to they could take a receiver at 5, but they need another one. I've seen Brock Bowers. I've seen Roma Dunze mocked to them. Like they need some playmakers. They lost Keenan Allen to the trade to the Bears. They cut Mike Williams, who's with the Jets. They're going to take an offensive playmaker at 5. I think they might trade back into the second round, 29, if depending on who's on the board. Hey, Detroit, we'll give you 37, sweeten it up with something else. Let us get that 29 from you. So keep an eye on it.
I told you, man, I believe 2 things are going to happen in this draft, and neither one of them are us picking at pick 29. We're either trading up to go get Jared Verse or we're trading back to get more weapons.
Yeah, I don't think we're picking at 29 either, but I just don't know which direction we're going in. It's really up to Brad. How aggressive is he feeling? Does he feel aggressive in a way where I can trade back and get more weapons? Or is there one weapon out there who changes my team completely? I don't know. I'd like either direction.
Yeah, same.
This isn't the band. We don't just do one direction here.
I agree, man.
So, guys, leave it in the comments. We've talked about Jaylen Polk, some other receivers, some draft day scenarios, some options. Let us know how you feel about Jaylen Polk. Home run, or would it be a swing and a miss? Leave it in the comments. Hit that like button. If you're new here, stick around, subscribe. We'll be back later with some more content.
Peace.